Welcome, fellow associates. This is Mark and Ryan.
Hello.
And as many of you know, we are very involved in not only the insurance world, but we're in the business of recruiting insurance agents around the state of Michigan. It's a little bit different than the WFG model, but it is nonetheless what we call a GA model that has been used historically, and we think its days are kind of dying out anyways. But what we wanted to do is talk a little bit about our experience in being in the insurance world for some time and recruiting and guiding and supporting insurance agents. And this is why I think it's very important for you to really set up and take notice what we're about to talk about. We see a lot of people come and go.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot. And it's really sad because there are a lot of people that try to get into the insurance world that's very smart. Mm-hmm. Many of them will pass their life and health or just their life licenses quite easily.
Yeah.
So then the real challenges start coming forward. Much like what we see with WFG, when you're a new agent, you're really in charge of your own career. You're starting a business, and a lot of people are not really business savvy, so they need leaders that can help them move along. And along with that comes a lot of fears. And we learn this in school, right? You know, you better get an A, because when you come home with that report card, what's mom and dad going to say if you get a C or a D?
They're not going to be too happy. I'm probably grounded.
Yeah. And that's really the community we live in. That's the country we live in. There's high expectations, and there's a lot of groupthink. And a lot of people just feel like they have to conform, because if they don't conform, then they're just not going to succeed. So what we want to talk about is 3 areas that we think every agent and every new WFG associate really needs to think about when they're starting their career. And that is, listen real closely to our videos, right?
Yes, absolutely.
We've been down the road, and whenever we bring an associate in, whether it's by ourselves or by someone in our downline, we legitimately care about their future. And there's not a lot of people that really succeed in this business. And it's not because they're not smart, because they're all passing state tests to be licensed, right?
Yeah, they're doing everything right. They're just missing a couple key ingredients in their success formula that really keep them from reaching that point.
Right, and that's exactly it. And we've seen where people will get licensed and then they will just fall apart. They'll hide. They'll think to themselves, well, I don't know where to get my next sale. Or, boy, my goals, what should I put down for goals? What should I reach for? How should I go about that? And before long, self-doubt starts creeping in. And a lot of that is, again, inherent in our society, because we're raised with certain beliefs. You know, there's the working class, and the working class people are raised on a certain set of beliefs. It's handed down by their parents.
Yep.
That may be handed down by their church. It may be handed down by the schools that they go to. And the same can be said for the middle class and the upper class. They all have this outer influence that's helping them to shape their lives.
Yeah, it really breaks down to their sphere of influence, and they've got to change that sphere of influence to change their way of thinking and those self-limiting beliefs.
Yep, exactly. So what we want to do in this video is talk about what we have seen as far as what are the top winning strategies we've seen from agents, and then we want to talk about what's the 3 most losing strategies we've seen from agents that have failed, and then one final piece of advice from both of us. So let's start off with, what are the top 3 things that you, Ryan, see from the agents that succeed?
Well, the number one is they tend to have not only goals, but they create the action steps in those goals to reach them. A second is they have the tools and resources at their disposal. They make sure they learn what's available to them to use. They learn their products. They make sure they have all the connections they need before they go out and hit the road. And then third, one of the biggest ones is, the customer service side. Not only can they sell, but they can follow through with what they promised and really deliver. Whether or not they knew the ins and outs beforehand or not, they're always capable of delivering. Yep. Those are the 3 biggest things I see in the successful people in this industry.
Okay. And for myself, and it's kind of comical, I said to Ryan, hey, let's sit down, we got 3 points we want to touch on. This is totally ad lib. So you see a little bit of stuttering, you'll know what's going on. But from my perspective, I would say these may or may not be the top 3 reasons why agents do succeed, but man, they're right up there. Number 1 is they show up for work every day. They're motivated and they stick it out, because just like any other career, if you want to succeed, man, you got to grind it out. It's a grind.
Yeah, a gentleman I follow, Gary Vaynerchuk, that's one of his biggest things about business is you have to be patient. Nothing comes overnight. Everybody you see out there that's had success, that didn't happen overnight.
Yep, absolutely. Number 2 is self-belief in yourself. The only reason why people really don't succeed, I shouldn't say only, but one of the biggest drivers is they just don't have enough self-belief in themselves, and it really shows. They will say, well, I don't know where I'm going to get my next sale. How am I going to do this? I don't know enough people. I'm going to sell, insurance products to my friends and my family, and outside of that, I just don't know where else to go. And then you'll start hearing other objections to their career. And before long, they start living it and breathing it, where just the opposite is true with the winners. The winners see the opportunity and they go after it. And they don't have those limiting beliefs. They've got more of the, if it's meant to be, it's up to me kind of belief.
A mental toughness attitude where they may still have those beliefs, but they found ways of overcoming them and really not succumbing to them.
Right. And the third thing with the top winners that I've noticed, they consistently focus on their vision and on their goals. And they don't just try to achieve their goals, but they try to beat them. And it's those people that come in every day and man, some of them, they'll quickly get a chip on their shoulder and they'll walk around the office with a lot of swagger and they'll talk about what accomplishments they've recently made, and man, they love it and they feed on it, and it's really something to behold, to watch a new agent that's really knocking it out of the park and building their new career just totally light up a whole room. So next we want to talk about 3 of the reasons why agents fail.
Yeah, so the one is not having goals. It's kind of the reverse of everything we just talked about, is not having the goals, not having the game plan to reach what you wish to have, or maybe setting the goal and not developing those action steps. Second, not following through on what they promise, not delivering, going out there and just not sticking to what they're doing, changing things as they're going, and really no follow through in anything that they're doing. And then third is really just kind of what Mark said, the self-limiting beliefs. I personally, struggle with it each time I try something new, and it's just finding those ways of overcoming it. it's not so much that they're there, it's sticking to it and having that mental toughness to continue to drive on, to keep yourself motivated, to keep pushing and breaking through that barrier, whatever it may be.
Yep. For me, the top 3 reasons why people fail at building their careers with, in the insurance world independently or with WFG, most of it can be wrapped up in one thing, and that is failing to be teachable. I see that all the time. We will sit down and we'll review winning strategies, much like WFG has put together with the Fast Start and the system manual. All of this was brought together by experts in the field, developed over years. And many losing agents, when they're trained on things like this, yeah, that's not for me. Yeah, that's cute and everything, but I've really got my system. No, I've got a better way of doing this. And no matter what you tell them, they just think that they need to be the Lone Ranger and they need to do it their way. And that is just a recipe for success. And I see agents that can recite all of the famous quotes. They know all the answers. But when it comes down to it, they just don't apply it to themselves. The second reason why I see people fail is when you educate them on something and you try to get them to focus in on what this really means in their lives. It's kind of a little bit outside of being untrainable. They just can't apply it. And you and I have had this discussion in the past regarding the business of people. Everyone's so busy. We've got the latest news. We've got our phones. We've got all the social media. We've got all this stuff. But few people, except for the world-class thinkers, really take time out of the day to have a quiet time to focus on their goals. Take time for self-development and to read what what mentors and other leaders in our industry recommend. And so that definitely plays a real tight number 2 there.
Yeah, and to speak on that, Ed Milet, a higher up in the WFG system, has a podcast where he discusses his morning routine and some of the things he goes through, breaking out those quiet times, certain times he's reading, and just kind of his whole day. And that focus comes into that, having that focus to where you break out your day is definitely going to lead to success. And if you don't, we know what we're talking about right now is the failures. So.
Yep. And the third one is people being so busy with their own lives that they can't seem to find the time to attend meetings. They've always got these excuses, right? Well, I've got a lot going on this weekend. Well, I have stuff going on in the evenings. My evenings really are not available. And before long, you start hearing some of the same stuff again. They don't have time for their own career. I'm working with some agents right now. They're in a situation where they're struggling. They're new WFG agents, and they're so set in the ways that they've always done things that when you're trying to nudge them and help them to get to that next step, they just don't really see the dream that or the vision they originally had when they became a new associate with WFG. So those are amongst the top 3 reasons why people fail. So I want to wrap up with just one piece of advice from both of us to new WFG associates that come into our organization.
The biggest thing I would say is be a consumer of content. Be not only a leader, but be a follower of different people that are in the industry that have had success. Find the secrets that they're applying, because they're not keeping them secret. Anybody that ultimately reaches that successful level, they always like to turn around and educate. So find those mentors, find those people that are going to help lead you, set your goals, everything we just talked about, because it was basically, this leads to success, this leads to failure, but if you blend them all together, it's like, here's the formula. Take that, find a mentor or mentors, and just really strive for the greatness that you were meant to attain.
Yep. Yep. It's a good piece of advice. The one thing I would have to say is kind of like the saying goes, to thine own self be true. We all have family. We may not be married necessarily. We may not have children at home or whatever the case may be. But for most of us, we have to look at our career and not just focus on ourselves, whether or not we feel like getting out of bed. We need to think about the people around us and put them first. And what I've seen is the people that really want to win, man, they just cannot soak up enough information from their leaders. And it's unusual. We realistically, I don't know, I'd guess that 1 out of every 3 associates, even every associate we recruit has a good intention. We're probably going to see 25 to 33% of those associates really develop, where the rest just fall off. No matter what you say or what you do, and it gets back to that self-belief system, they just fall off. So what I want to say to you is, the most important thing you can do is think about yourself, think about your family, and don't waste your time, don't waste anybody else's time. Just give it a shot. Follow your guides. Follow the successful organization. We're a successful organization, well beyond many in Michigan. This is an opportunity for you as an associate in our base shop to actually draw from leaders that have been in the trenches and have seen success for a long time. So our number one piece of advice, I guess, for me is be true to yourself and believe what we have to say and follow us. And you'll have dark days and you'll have good days. But it's during those dark times that you develop into that new person that is the foundation to get to a better person and a better person and a better person. So that's about it. So hopefully this was a help. And if not, then...
you're probably in that 66%.
Exactly. Thank you very much.